Stand your ground laws supposedly allow people to get away with murder. They allow white people to shoot black people without consequences. Yet, when you look at the facts, whoever uses a gun always loses. Get the facts and details in this episode of The 10th Man. Anytime someone is accidentally shot by someone else who felt threatened, the mainstream media attack the so-called stand your ground laws which exist in several states. The Associated Press says that people can use guns defensively anytime they perceive a threat. Not only is that false, but they are also confusing the stand your ground principle with the castle doctrine. The castle doctrine says you can freely defend yourself inside your own home, but out in public you must prove that you tried to run away before shooting. Stand your ground simply says that if someone threatens your life, even in public, you are allowed to fight back or run away. It's your choice. No one gets away with murder using either law, but the New York Times has a phobia about stand your ground. Too bad they have no such fear of lying. I say lying because the Times is fascinated with George Zimmerman, the shooter of Trayvon Martin, and with Kyle Rittenhouse. They used both examples in an April 2023 article, even though stand your ground didn't apply in either case. They say George Zimmerman was acquitted because of Florida's stand your ground law. That's an absolute falsehood. George Zimmerman's lawyers argued self-defense. Zimmerman was fully engaged in a fight which he was apparently losing, and retreat was not an option. Using stand your ground makes no sense and was not employed. Kyle Rittenhouse too is a curious choice because the video shows Rittenhouse running away, not standing his ground. And Wisconsin does not even have a stand your ground law. Is there any larger news media lie than this? So let's look at a couple other cases and see whether stand your ground laws protect white people from prosecution. The issue here is not whether the person with the gun was justified. You can decide that for yourself. The claim is that stand your ground laws allow white people to commit murder. Let's see how that works out. In November of 2013 in Detroit, Michigan, a drunk woman named Renisha McBride crashed into a parked car Saturday morning at 1 a.m. The 911 operator was told McBride was speeding, collided with another car, got out, was incoherent, and left on foot. No police responded to the call, but less than an hour later, EMS responded to another 911 call to the same location. But McBride had left again. 2 hours after that, she had left Detroit and was in Dearborn Heights, Michigan, beating on the front and side doors of a resident's house there, striking hard enough to knock the screen out of its frame. The homeowner retrieved a shotgun, took it out of its case, and shot through the door, killing her. McBride was black. She became a BLM poster child. The news states McBride was upset and just asking directions. Where do they get this information? The only person who could explain what she was doing is dead. No one knows why she turned up at a stranger's house more than 3 hours after the crash in a different community. No one knows either what she did in that time period, other than reduce her blood alcohol level, which was more than double the legal limit, according to a blood test after her death. The homeowner was convicted of 3 charges, including second-degree murder, in August 2014, and is serving out his sentence with eligibility for parole in 2031. He was convicted by an overeager justice system of both murder and manslaughter for the same act, violating his constitutional rights, so the manslaughter charge was overturned by the state Supreme Court in 2022. So some analysis. Someone was killed. Was the deceased innocent? No, she created the situation and broke several laws in the process. Stand your ground didn't apply. The homeowner was inside his house behind a locked door. You can't retreat much farther than that. McBride, on the other hand, was trespassing and refused to go away. Other than pulling the trigger, the homeowner did nothing wrong. He actually had no power other than shooting to make McBride go away. Stand Your Ground obviously did not allow him to take a life and was not employed. White guy loses. This story has a chilling aftermath. The news is afraid of even more people being shot on porches, but that's not quite what happened next. We'll share that in a moment. Next, we have a teenager knocking on doors in a southeast Michigan neighborhood at 8:30 a.m. on a weekday morning after most people have gone to work. When a homeowner answers the door, he says he missed the bus, got lost, and he asks directions to the high school. Knocking on the front door is a common tactic used by burglars to determine if someone is home. If no one answers, then you break in. If they do answer, then you say you're asking directions. Following this methodology, he knocks on 2 doors and will later claim he didn't understand the directions given by the first person. Was he lost? The community in question, like most of the Midwest, is laid out in a grid, and the high school is at the intersection of 2 main roads, easy to find from anywhere in the township. At the second house, the woman answering the door screamed that they were being broken into again, waking her husband from a sound sleep. Hearing his wife screaming that they were being robbed again, he went to the door with a shotgun and the boy ran away. The homeowner fired the gun once as the teen was well down the driveway, but did not hit anything. The boy's mother later said his phone had been taken away from him because of bad behavior, so he could not use it to get to school. That, along with missing the bus, makes 2 mistakes by the teenager. Unexplained is why he did not log in on his home computer and print the directions, a 3rd error, in addition to allegedly not knowing his way to school as a teenager, making 4 mistakes. And how does a 9th grader, almost 10th, not know the way to high school 1 month before school lets out for summer vacation? The boy's father is in the army. He was deployed to Syria. With one parent overseas, what was the mother's responsibility to make sure he is up each morning? And typically, military dependents are taught to be more, not less, self-reliant than average. It's mystifying because he was smart enough to use his fame to catapult himself into an elected class officer position at the high school, to graduate early, and to enroll in college. And why was he walking through a neighborhood? He reportedly lived 4 miles away from school, perhaps in this neighborhood or in these townhouses. The township is crossed diagonally by a river and you can only cross it on the main roads. And all of the main roads have safe hiking and biking paths. The neighborhoods do not even have sidewalks. Deviating from the main road was more difficult, more inconvenient, it was unsafe, and it added to his time. The homeowner said that when his wife screamed, he thought it was a real break-in. They'd had 5 previous break-ins or attempts, including one when they were at home. 3 of the incidents involved teenagers. Not even knowing who was at the door, the homeowner was accused of racism and sentenced to 4 to 10 years in prison for assault with intent to do great bodily harm and felony firearm. The teenager in this case seemed like a good kid to me, but my feelings don't prove he wasn't looking for trouble that day. The facts are that the teen created this entire situation through multiple missteps. The homeowner did nothing. Not that I necessarily agree with the shooter's actions. The point is that Stand Your Ground didn't keep the homeowner out of prison, and he never left his own front porch. White guy loses. 2 men received severe punishments just for reacting to a perceived nighttime break-in. Severe punishments like these can have severe consequences. The shooter, Renisha McBride, was convicted not just of manslaughter, but murder in September 2014. Not surprisingly, A gang of home invaders was emboldened by this conviction, and they moved from Texas to the Detroit area 3 months later and set up operations. They would use a female decoy, just like Renisha McBride, to lure the homeowners to the door, then break in, tie up the entire family, and ransack the house. McBride's killer was white. Not wanting to be shot, this gang of Hispanic thugs attacked only Asians. Asian guy loses.